policy. Texas Congressman and ranking member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Michael McCaul, joins us. Nice to talk to you, sir.
Oh, thanks, Greta. Thanks for having me.
I suppose that other governments have been suspicious of us being involved in coups for a long time over history, but when you have the former UN ambassador and national security advisor to a president say that, and the China responding, I don't think it doesn't seem particularly helpful. Your thoughts on this?
You know, I've known John Bolton for a long time. I don't think you talk about the intelligence community and any coup plotting in a public arena like this. I don't think that's responsible. But also, it just feeds into the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party's disinformation machine, or war, if you will, against the United States. And so I think in a way it's enabled the CCP to attack the United States of America.
Well, I've known him likewise for a number of years, and I think, probably it's, he wishes he could get a do-over on that, because I imagine, other countries that are not friendly to us will take that and run as well. So that, is not very helpful. All right, let me turn now to your state and the border and the number of people crossing. Is Mexico helping us with this problem?
No, not at all. I would argue that Mexico, President Obrador has paid lip service on the issue. He's enabled the cartels to do their dirty business, basically with a laissez-faire approach where you play well in your sandbox together, bring the GDP back home to Mexico, which they are doing in astronomical numbers right now. So it's in his benefit not to see violence, but rather profit coming out of this exploitation of migrants. The migrants are the victims. The drug cartels are the winners. And I would argue that this administration, in rescinding Remain in Mexico, are complicit with the biggest human trafficking crisis in our lifetime and the biggest drug problem we've ever seen.
Well, it's particularly interesting in this, that it's no longer just people coming from sort of Central America, that some of the migrants come as far away from as Venezuela. We've got people from Haiti, people who have maybe been Haitians who've been living in Colombia for a number of years. I mean, this is getting much broader in terms of the people who are coming.
Oh, absolutely. Greta, when I chaired the Homeland Security Committee for 3 terms and we term limit, I would always ask my classified briefings, how many OTMs, other than Mexicans, how many special interest aliens? That means aliens from countries of special interest. And then finally, how many on the terror watch list? What is frightening to me as a former chairman of Homeland and now the leader on Foreign Affairs Committee is that number is increasing, not decreasing. And we don't know a whole lot about these terror watch list suspects. We do know that 4 of them were trying to cross into the United States from Mexico to plot to assassinate former President George Bush. I take that very seriously, and this is a major national security issue.
Well, this whole thing it isn't just a Texas problem. It's a nation's problem, and to the extent that drugs come across, they end up on the streets of Chicago or New York or all over. We know fentanyl coming from China is coming through there. But recently, Governor Abbott has been putting some of these migrants on buses. They are bused here to where I live, Washington, D.C. The mayor is upset about it because now we've got the problem where we have migrants who are overloading our homeless shelters, which were already overloaded. And I'm not so sure. I mean, I realize he was trying to make a point, but none of this is solving it. Congress hasn't solved it. The president hasn't solved it. The former presidents. None of this is solving it, and it's like everyone's gaming everybody in this, and it's just getting worse. So, what's your suggestion to fix this?
Well, look, I had a border bill that we got several measures done in the past, but this should not be a partisan issue, but it's turned into one, because this administration has wholly failed to address it. And so when Governor Abbott calls me and says, what more can I do? He doesn't have the tools. He has his Department of Public Safety that he sent down to the border to help turn back the migrants. But, my home state, this is a real crisis that, quite frankly, Greta, other than this show and some others, it's not really being widely reported yet. 3 million encounters since this president took office. The fentanyl's 7 times the amount to kill the population, 7 times over, I should say, 8,000 pounds. And that's what we know about. This is killing more young people now than cancer or car accidents or any other cause of death between the ages of 18 to 45. And it needs to stop. And, I wish it could be bipartisan, but they have hijacked the issue. And I'm afraid with Remain in Mexico gone and Migrant Protection Protocol, you're not going to see a President Obrador of Mexico with any appetite to enter back into that kind of agreement, which I worked with the prior administration on, which actually did stop this. And now it's been unleashed.
Let me turn to one other topic before I let you go. Is that let me go over to the Middle East, Iran. Is there any disincentive that Iran has from producing a nuclear weapon? Is there anything that we could give them that's reasonable, or is this just a done deal? They're going to have one.
Yeah, I was in Vienna with the IAEA Director General. He was he made his report to the governors, Board of Governors, within the next week. He discovered 3 undisclosed sites with the uranium particles, which means the Iranians are not disclosing this vital information. I think it's a very, there's a lack of trust here. It's a very dangerous proposition in the Middle East. We don't want to see basically an escalation of nuclear warfare in the Middle East. I think at the end of the day, Greta, I hate to say this, but I think it's got to be stated very plainly that it's a policy of the United States and our allies that a nuclear Iran cannot exist.
But the problem is that Iran has seen that it's been very effective for Russia because the U.S. didn't get overly involved, at least so far, in Ukraine. And Kim Jong-un sees it as insurance policy as well, that the United States, and I'm not saying there's any solution or that I even have a solution, but the fact is that having the nuclear weapons does give them insurance.
Right, and they know if they get the bomb, you can't take it away, just like Pakistan. And AQ Khan proliferated that to Iran and to North Korea and then to Pakistan. It's very tricky. I can't lie about that. I do think that we have to be very assertive, though, that we're not going to sit back idly and let them obtain a nuclear bomb. It's a direct threat to Israel. And also, you saw with Saudi Arabia stepping up now and the Arab nations against Iran, that this is an alliance.
Congressman Michael McCaul, thank you. Hope you come back, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Greta. Great seeing you.
Nice seeing you, sir.